This was not the episode I was going to record this morning. Actually, I had a different episode that I was going to record, but I wanted to tell you what's been going on with me over this last month. So, over this last month, I have been meeting with potential podcast guests, and I always meet with different people coming on the podcast. We do a pre-meeting to see if we vibe and so I can start working on the outline. I want to hear their story. I want to hear what their challenges is. You guys, over this last month, I've met with people who have MS, who have Lyme disease, who had cancer. And typically it's not that way. Typically I meet with people and they have different challenges of like emotional or financial, or they've had different challenges that have made them who they are, but it's not the same challenge of health challenges over and over again. So I met Stephanie Cartan of Entreprenista. She's the founder of Entreprenista. Amazing, amazing place. Love it. And she has MS, and she was telling me, she's like, hey, so that sounds terrible how you are living your life. So basically, every single day wake up, even though I've slept like 9, 10 hours, I wake up feeling terrible, like I was hit by a truck. My sweet husband gets me some liquid IV, and that really helps, like that hydration. And then I go on a walk and I feel a little better. And then I still always feel like I have the flu. Like I have this just overarching flu, and it's debilitating, right? And it helps, like does not feel good every day. Every day at like 1:30 or 2, I have to be in bed for a couple hours because when the flu gets so bad, you have to just be in bed and stay in bed. That's how I was feeling. That's how I feel every single day. And so I was meeting with Steph, and she was telling me, she's like, you don't have to feel like that, you can want more. She was telling me some things that she was doing, and I was like, okay, all right. So, she's like, it could even be, that you need to stop doing a couple things that the neurologist has told you, or start doing some things, start this one treatment that's worked really good for me. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. This After that conversation, I was feeling like, okay, I'm going to meet with my neurologist. There's got to be something more that I can do, There's got to be something more than what I have been feeling like I just get to live a life like this, It's so crazy. Like went to the dentist the other day, and the dentist is like 15 minutes from our house, but I was going at 8:30 in the morning. And that's kind of I'm still iffy at that time of day, which seems like, whatever. Um, and my best time of day is from like, and the best I put in quotes, is from like 10 to 1. That's when I get my stuff done. And you guys, can you imagine like scaling and growing? I can't believe what I've been doing. I don't even know. Anyway, so I went to the dentist, and I was like, I am not driving very like a normal human being should drive, I was like, I get this like dissociative feeling where I see a stop sign and I'm like, oh, I guess I should stop. And then I'm like, body, you need to press the pedal that stops the car, And so, but I thought, it's 8:30 in the morning. I mean, I'm kind of okay at that time. I can make it work. I want to do it on my own. I want to be independent, And I realized when I got to the dentist, I was like, you should have gotten a ride. You should have chosen a different time that you could have driven, like 10 o'clock might have been a better time to drive up there, But anyway, like all these things that I live with that hinder life, And so Stephanie, after talking to her, I was like, you know what? I think I can want a little bit more than what I've been going through. Then I met Elena, and Elena has put her Lyme disease in remission, which, with Lyme disease, it's like the same as MS. It was so funny. We were talking, and she's like, we got connected through a past podcast guest, and Elena's like, this guest knew, like Kyla knew exactly that she needed to put us together, because every symptom you have and how you describe it is how I described me in Lyme disease, like having the flu all the time, being in bed, and She's like, "I was in bed for like a year and didn't get out and didn't go anywhere." You know what it made me think about is when she was telling me that, I was like, "Well, you know what? I could have been in bed for a year, but guess what I just tried to do? I um had just found out like a month or two before that I had MS, and I had already signed up for the year before. I had already signed up to go to this retreat in Florida. One of my best friends was coming from the UK to Florida. We had never met in person. And I had just gotten on medication. I was on medication for like maybe 2 weeks. I was so dizzy, but I was like, I'm going to freaking go to this, you know? I had a huge panic attack on the plane. Like, I almost stood up and was like, let me off this plane. What am I doing? I cried at the airport. And you guys, if you know me, you know, I'm like, nothing really rattles me. You know, I'm just kind of like, we got this. We're going to move forward, you know? And I went to the retreat. Now, I didn't do everything at the retreat. I like did parts of the retreat and I rested and things like that. But I remember we went to this because I was like, I'm not going to miss meeting my best friend in person. I was so dizzy the whole time. We were sitting there at we had gone to this conference part of it and stuff like that. And I was sitting in a chair and I was like, I was actually starting to cry because I was like, I can't even sit in this chair. I'm so dizzy. So I told, one of the people helping with the conference and the retreat, I was like, hey, I got to go. She's like, okay, let me drive you home back to this huge, beautiful house where we had been staying. So anyway, and then my family and I went to Hawaii that summer. And then in the fall, I signed up for this huge coaching course that I was like, I'm going to build this business. I don't care if I'm dizzy and I'm not going to be staying in bed. I didn't even like listen to my body about the staying in bed for a year, which is typical when you get MS, and Lyme and all these things. So anyway, Elena was like, I have cured all those symptoms that you are feeling. And I'm like, wait, what? Well, then just the other day I met with Jen and her experiences, she had thyroid cancer when she was like 18. And she said, she's like, I've healed myself from this, from the, like when you get your thyroid taken out, you don't have a lot of energy. There's all these other things that happen because of that. And she's like, and it's taken some time to find the right things for me. It's been like a puzzle piece of trying to find the right things, the right combinations of medicine and holistic care. But I was like, why not? Why should I not try? You know what? If something doesn't work, why not? And as she was talking to me about like this why not mentality, I was like, oh my gosh, I just had this huge, huge moment come to me. And I was like, wait a second, Jen, like, I think the reason that I haven't felt like I could get better is because I specifically remember after all these, the MRIs, the spinal taps, and I hate MRIs, you guys. It's the worst to be in this capsule thing. Oh, and all this sickness. I was like, I figured I had MS, but I was like, okay, let's make sure. So my husband and I go into the neurologist's office. She walks in, literally maybe sits down. I don't know. But as she's walking in, she's like, hey, yeah, you have MS. And I was like, okay, okay. All right, so we know what I got. We know what this is. How do I get better? And she specifically says, and I remember this, she says, we don't know. We don't know what your better looks like. We don't know if you can get better. And we're just going to wait and see what your better looks like. And the idea was be grateful for what you got. You know what? There are people with MS who can't walk, who have lots and lots of struggles. And I totally am so grateful for what I have. And at the same time, I was told by some authority figure, which is great, like that, just be grateful for what you have. We'll see if we can get you better. I don't know. I don't know. But I think in that moment, I was like, wait, Jen, I think all this time I've just taken that philosophy that you were given this, so you better be grateful for it. And you better not really want more because we don't even know what more is going to be for you. So this could be it. So just get used to it. And I was floored that that thought that's been with me for 3.5 years is has been keeping me not hopeful that I can have something better, that I can have something more, that I want something more. Even just the fact that I want that something more. I felt settled and lacked hope in this whole area of my health for the last 3.5 years. And if I did want something more, at the same time, I would feel bad that I would want something more. I would feel like, well, there's so many more people that are worse than you. There's so many more people that don't have the support system that you have. There's so many more people that don't get to work from home, like build their own business. They're trying, like I've heard of like kindergartner teachers with MS, and I'm like, how do they do that? That is just rough, you know? And so, you know what? Don't want more because you're not grateful for what you have. But guess what? We can want more. And at the same time, we can be grateful for what we have. It's not about accepting where we are, but it's about hoping for what we want and hoping for the future. In my mastermind, we've been working on each month, we have a different theme. And this month's theme is the over controller. This isn't interfere. This is part of my system of how we go from sabotaging ourselves to utilizing our gifts to having peace and sustainable success. Anyway, like focusing on the over controller interfere this month. And the over controller convinces us that peace comes only when things are perfectly managed. It whispers that when we plan enough, when we prepare enough, when we hold tightly enough, we can prevent chaos, disappointment. We can keep ourselves safe. We can keep others safe. We can have what we want. In reality, control is a false lie. It may quiet anxiety for a moment, but it's going to leave us with more anxiety, more exhaustion, and disconnected from trusting and hoping in more. So I was asking the mastermind, I was like, okay, we do weekly check-ins, and I sent them a weekly check-in reflection question, and we talk about it and things. And I asked them, okay, what categories have you been feeling like you've been wanting to control so much because you have so much anxiety, and we think the more we control, the more we can do. And so I want to ask this to you too. In what areas have you been trying to control so much so that you could have the outcome that you really hope you want? Is it in the financial area? Is it in your career and business? It is in your relationships. It is in your health. Is it in your spiritual and emotional well-being? What about your home? What about your time and your schedule? And what about self-worth and your inner voice? What area have you been feeling like you've been needing to control so much so that you can have the outcome? And when I asked that in the group, people talked about finances and they talked about health too. They talked about all these areas they're trying to control in order to really have more. But more doesn't come from control. More comes just from a desire inside of our heart, wanting and hoping, and not a hope that's just like, gosh, I hope this can happen, but a deep anchored hope and trust that God and the universe are bringing it into our favor. It's for us. It's not that this experience, the hard things is not for us to learn and to grow but it's also not just for us to get through and get to the other side. We can learn, we can grow, and we can be grateful, and we can want more all at the same time. And that is like this huge lesson that I've been learning in this last month, that I know that God has like put people in my life for a reason to keep pounding me in this message. You can want more. You can want more. You can want more. One of the things that Jen and I were talking about yesterday, she's going to be on my podcast. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. She's like, you know what? You can try different things. And if something doesn't work, oh, well, what have you got to lose, And I was like, oh, yeah. Because I think one of the things that has overwhelmed me is there's so many people that are like, this worked for me, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm okay mixing different areas of like holistic and and medical and all these different things. But there's so many different things. And I'm like, well, I'm already doing so much. So part of my brain was just like, well, you're already doing a lot. I mean, what else is there? And that's going to take you a long time to go through the list of things. But what Jen was telling me, she's like, well, why not? You know what? Why not? Just try it. What do you have to lose? And that's what I would say with your situation too. Why not try it? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose if you're like, oh my gosh, my finances have been so crazy and messed up. I just think this is just how it's going to be forever. Well, why not keep trying different things until you find that magic formula? What if you're like, oh, I just always wanted a relationship that really, where we were equal partners, where we were best friends, you know? And I've just never had that my whole life. Well, what if you start building a life for that? What if you start wanting what you really want and realizing that you can have it? And then God and the universe will bring it into your favor. Open the door. Open the door for the possibilities of that thing and then figure it out. That's the other piece, right? And if you try something and it doesn't work, well, you're here anyway. You might as well just keep trying. But don't ever, ever, ever give up. I think one of the things that I've realized is like, I kind of gave up. I gave up because I thought, well, who am I? She told me that I couldn't have more. Who is telling you that you can't have more? Is it your inside voice? Is it someone externally telling you can't have more? Who is it? Well, guess what? They don't deserve it. They don't deserve a voice. And the only voice that matters in your future is yours. And listen to the hope and the future that you really want. Don't just settle. Don't just settle for what you've been told is yours. Or don't just settle for like, well, I've tried lots of different things. Hasn't worked out. It must be me. Guess what? It's not you. I'm here to tell you it is not you. Don't ever, ever give up. Just keep going. You are worth it. You can do this. Be open to more because it's ready. It's trying to knock on your door, but sometimes we step away. And I get it. Totally. Things can be overwhelming. And like having a huge diagnosis that has told me, hey, you can't want more. Well, guess what? I am not okay living like that anymore. And I don't want you to live like that anymore either. So where have you been told to settle? What area have you been told to settle in? Or you've heard yourself say, this is just is what it is. I'm just going to keep fighting. But I'm not going to allow myself to be so hurt or be ungrateful for wanting this bigger thing. What is one area you've told yourself to settle? And where can you give yourself permission to want more? What's one little thing that you can do to step towards that more? What's one little thing that you can do? Okay, this has been amazing. Thank you. I know you can want more. I know you can stand in wanting that more and being intentional and going after it over and over and over again. And it could take a month, it could take a year, it could take several years. But if it does, isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth it to go after that thing? Because this life is yours to create. And you're in charge of it. And God and the universe are bringing things into your favor. And I know that He cares about you. He cares about what you want, what you don't want, and He's working in your favor. All right, I'll see you inside the next episode.